Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Neil Rogers. I am a parent of a 19-year-old boy with autism. My wife and I founded P.A.S.E, Parents Assisting Special Education, or educators, a number of years ago, based exclusively to support the frontline folks that work with our kids. That's the teachers, the paraprofessionals, and the like. So essentially what we do is very simply is we have a couple of events every year. We raise some money and we support the schools. This conference series came out of just a notion I had of, instead of sending folks nationwide, we wanted to bring things local so people could get some information about new techniques and on how to work with the kids, etc. This particular one came out of that series, which really, this is about supports that around town that are available to you that not everybody knows about or not knows completely about. So it's really more of a promotional event for folks like Gateways and P.A.S.E and NAMI, etc. And so we hope that you get a lot out of it today. If you would, we have an evaluation form. We'd ask that you fill it out. And without further ado, let me turn it over to Cindy Clark.
Thank you, Neil. My name is Cindy Clark, and I'm the Special Services Administrator for the Nashua School District. And Neil pretty much said it all, where we are really glad that everybody could make it today. And your children are with us all the time in our schools and are supported there. But when they're not in our schools, we want to make sure that you know what agencies are available in our community to help support you outside of the schools. So that's why we're offering this workshop. Today we're going to be having 4 people present. The first person is from NAMI. Her name is Susan Allen. We also have Steve Press from the Greater Nashua Mental Health Center, Jen Kuna from P.A.S.E, and Michelle Abbott from Gateways. So first off will be Susan Allen from NAMI.
Individuals affected by mental illness, and I think we've all been there. We're either parents, brothers, sisters, we have children maybe going through the special ed process in the school system. So what do we do? Well, we're a private, not-for-profit organization. We're a chapter of National Alliance on Mental Illness. We're NAMI, New Hampshire. NAMI is a national organization. We have a website, naminh.org. How did we start? Well, actually it was closer to 30 years ago. Some moms started getting ticked off. There were no supports in the area for them, because if they weren't getting supported, they weren't able to help support their children. They formed a small group. They went to St. Louis. They learned the NAMI format. They came back. They replicated it throughout the state, and here we are today. Our office is in Concord. We have a staff of, I believe right now, 18. That's not really how we run. Our organization is supported mostly from our volunteers, and we have a couple of them in the room, and we'll talk about that later. Without volunteers, we would be nothing. We have staff so we can administer the services. Now, my role as the Family and Community Support Specialist, I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Pam and Ann are sitting right here. They are, what? Amy, I'm sorry, I'm going Ann. All right. Amy Taylor and Pam Banks are sitting right here, and they are trained to teach, and they are trained to facilitate support groups in the Nashua and surrounding area. What I'm going to have you do is I'll tell you a little bit about them, but if you have questions for them, and some of you might want to connect with their services, talk to them afterwards, please. We do provide supports and programs to families across the lifespan. Right now we're talking about your kids, but that's not the only services that we have. And we are, like I said, grassroots and volunteer-based. We offer support, education, public policy advocacy, professional development training, anti-stigma programs, and I'll tell you most of what we do has to do with anti-stigma no matter what we're doing, and suicide prevention programs. Family support and education. The good thing about it is there's no fee for family members. A lot of you might be connected with other services. You don't have to worry about whether or not you have insurance or how much it's going to cost. There's no sliding scale. You connect with us and we provide the services for you. Now, we're not providers. We don't provide counseling services. Everybody that's in the office on a volunteer basis or actually a staff member. They're there because they either themselves have a mental illness or have a family member that does. So we're walking the walk, we're talking the talk. My background is educationally, my degree is in counseling. I also have a master's degree in criminal justice. None of that matters when I'm working with families and when I can say to them, yeah, that happened to me too. There's a sigh of relief. People get referred to us a number of different ways. The schools sometimes refer people over. Courts refer people over, but they can't court order. Again, we're not providers. We don't answer to anybody. We don't go into court and testify for or against or anybody, which makes it a lot less intimidating when you have families that are already stressed out. They don't understand what's going on. They don't understand the mental illness. The police are calling, the schools are calling, the neighbors are calling. They don't even know what bipolar is. My son just got diagnosed with bipolar. What the heck is that? It's family members trained to deliver the supports and the program. We have a very specific format for our teachers and for our facilitators. They go through a training and there's ongoing support. Questions asked, they call the state office. And we try to keep a connection. Maybe we're not always as successful as we should be, but we try to keep a connection and be their resource, like it says. Hope, hope, hope. That's something we all talk about. We have guidelines and principles that we base our education and our support groups program on. And one of that four-letter word that we always is, there's always hope. Our children, in this case, I'm assuming most of you are here for your children, whether it's in school or whether it's at home. It's a disease. There is recovery. Recovery is possible. Relapse is possible too, but recovery is also possible. We offer one-to-one support, and that's me, the Family and Community Support Specialist. I'll tell you a little bit about that, and I have a few flyers left that explain that. Is I provide one-on-one support. Somebody calls the office for whatever reason, however they got the number, referred by another agency. They just pick up the phone because they've come across our website. And I do short-term, one-on-one, typically in your home, but you can certainly come to my office. We could do it someplace publicly. It could be a library. Dunkin' Donuts probably isn't the ideal place because usually people that call us initially are in some sort of a crisis. They're trying to figure things out. We meet maybe 1, 2, or 3 times. I've got to say that I've met with family members for a much more extended period of time. Sometimes it's just a phone call because really they already know what to do. They just need somebody to say, yeah, you're doing the right thing. That's what you can do. What we do is a lot of referring them to other agencies, to our support groups, and that really is the intention, is to once to get them through the crisis, get them into one of our support or education groups. And as they get stronger, when they get more educated, typically those are the folks that go on to become our facilitators and our teachers and share, you know, it's kind of that giving back that we all want to be able to do at some point. And they have the stories. They know what the light at the end of the tunnel is. And it's not always a train coming at you, although sometimes it seems that way. And what I learned in my journey, I have a son that's 21 years old and he's bipolar, is that he doesn't have to be better in order for me to be better. It took me a long time to learn that because I can't help him if I'm not healthy. So what we do is we teach parents how to advocate for their children and themselves, how to navigate the mental health system. It's a little overwhelming. You know, who to call when things are going on in your household, how to partner with those agencies. Who wants to hear DCYF? Everybody goes, oh my God, DCYF. Partner with them. Partner with your JPPO, your juvenile probation and parole officer, if your child happens to be court involved. Because the more support systems you have, the more successful your family's going to be and your child is going to be. Support groups, we have them statewide. We have representatives, like I said, right here from the Nashua area. It's called Parents Meeting the Challenge. And what that is exactly what it sounds like. There's a support group that meets every
second Monday. Second Monday of the month.
Okay, and get more information from them. We have some very generic flyers on the table about the support groups, where they meet. I brought what I was told to bring. But we do have them throughout the state. Some people prefer to go in their own community. Some people prefer to go outside of their community. The fact is that you might find a support group that doesn't quite fit what you need. Then check a couple of them out. Don't give up on them. We also have Parents Meeting the Challenge education series. That's an 8-session series. We have those again throughout the state. I'd like to say they're ongoing, but they're really not. Typically, we like to have one in the spring and one after school starts in the fall. We do them all different ways. We try to find what works in your area. Some places we do them one Saturday a month. Sometimes it's the first and third Thursday of every month. Sometimes it's every Tuesday. We have one going right now that is a weekday during the day for folks that have a hard time with childcare. Transportation and childcare is always an issue. We also have the NAMI New Hampshire family groups. Those are called Family to Family. They're pretty much run the same way, except they're adults that have other adults in their lives. So a parent, it could be your spouse, it could be your brother, it could be your roommate, it doesn't matter. It's how you define family. And again, there are support groups called Family to Family, and there's an educational series, and that educational series goes on for 12 weeks. Either one of these educational series, we do ask people to commit to the whole series because they don't do well, and I'll tell you in a minute why. If they could stand on their own. Each of them could stand on their own. You might have one that has to do with brain development. Another one would be navigating the system. What happens in a group is that people begin to network, and once they network, they begin to bond. When you have somebody in your life that's mentally ill, you feel pretty isolated. And so this helps decrease the isolation. It doesn't just educate you as to what's going on in your own home, it makes you feel less alone with what's going on in your own home. We also have another series called Side by Side, and that's for elders. Bernie Seifert is the one that actually organizes that. I think that's an 8-session series as well, but those are standalone. If you're only interested in Alzheimer's, then you could just select that one. Any of these things, if you're interested in, my business card is here. We have our NAMI brochure here, which also is going to repeat everything that I've just talked about here. NAMI Connection is our suicide intervention, prevention, postvention program. We've just got quite a bit of funding. We go out and we educate. We don't just educate the teachers or the special ed department in the schools. We're going to educate the bus driver and the lunch lady because sometimes they're privy to conversations that nobody else hears. We go in, we educate the fire department, the garbage man, anybody that's interested that might be, well, out in the community that might hear something. How do you respond to it if you hear somebody saying something? Geez, I wonder, are they serious? What should I do? We get a lot of phone calls where people, they're worried about their loved ones. There's altogether now the annual conference that we have. There's Life Under Construction Transition Conference. We've already gone through both of those. They're absolutely wonderful conferences. They're a good place, again, to network. Life Under Construction Transition Conference. It's that transition piece that our kids in high school are going through. It is a peer-type conference. Ask some of the family members here. It's really the focus is on the children. The children are the ones in the audience. That transition piece in your IEP, that age range starting perhaps at 14, no later than 16 and moving up. Hi, come on in. Certainly. If you need information on the dates of these, we've just done both of these. They're going to be up and coming. It's something we do annually. There's our website down there. Please go to it. There's an awful lot of great information on that website. Again, another thing that I do is the information and referral line. There's the phone number there. What that is it's not a crisis line. It's not a hotline. It's not 24/7. It's 9 to 5, 5 days a week, excluding holidays. Somebody calls, they have a question about a diagnosis, or I need to find a provider. We do get a lot of crisis calls, and we'll refer them out accordingly. I actually cover that line most of the time. There are other people in the office that do as well, but typically I'm the one that does that. We call back within 48 hours. If we don't have the answers, and lots of times we don't, we try to find them for you. But like I said, we're not a crisis line, but we certainly, if somebody calls in crisis, we try to take the call. We try to assess where they're at. Do they need emergency services? And we encourage them to call a lot of the other resources that we see sitting in this room right now. We have a guidebook for parents and primary caregivers, guidebook for older adults, and there is a new guidebook for adults coming out. It's in printing right now. You can go to our website. Our guidebook is on there. It has a lot of resources. It has, as a matter of fact, we base all of our classes on it. When you take the Parents Meeting the Challenge class, we use the guidebook as the workbook. You can go online. You can open it up. You can look at it. You could download it if you wanted to. It would take an awful lot to print it out, but if you want a copy of any one of those for your home, for your office, for your school, connect with me, I'll get you one. We don't tend to send them out in bulk. It costs quite a bit for us to print them, but certainly if there was just maybe a page on where your community mental health centers are, you could print that out. We are the regional distributor for the National Institute for Mental Health materials, so you call our office. I don't understand what schizophrenia is. We could start by getting you connected with a lot of our written information. We have a whole basement full of that information. We share that with you. If there's something that your school, that your organization, that your business office wants to put in their hallway, our support group leaders usually have them set out on their tables. When they want, some more information, they connect with the office. But you personally, if there's anything that we can help you with, I find a way. We don't typically mail out in bulk. We would try to connect with you if you wanted a few of anything. But certainly call the office. You can ask for me, and I'll get you the information that you need. And if we don't have it in the office, I'm going to find a way to find something for you. And then again, the connection that we have with the other national resources. And that's all in the back of our guidebooks as well. We have a public policy committee. Annette Carbonneau, she wears a lot of hats in our agency. She spears that up. NAMI does advocacy. We get a lot of calls for people who want an advocate. That's not the type of advocacy we do. We advocate on the legislative level. So when a bill is coming up, as a matter of fact, the funding issues that have been going on right now, we had a wonderful rally last week on the State House lawn. 300 people showed up for that. That's the type of advocacy that we do. So there's somebody in the office that is up to date on the bills that are being brought forward, trying to be passed. We're trying not to have them passed or modified, et cetera. Actually, that rally ended up with our director, Michael Cohen, having a one-on-one meeting with the governor on Friday. So for whatever that's worth, our voice is being heard. And the way it's heard the most isn't when the providers go before them, because the providers are the ones that are being impacted, but that it really is impacting your loved ones because they're not getting the services. They're getting put on a waiting list. The state hospital is closing down Philbrook. There's all sorts of things that happen when the funding gets cut. But the most powerful voice that there is the family voice. When you can go with a story, say, this is how it affected my family. This training teaches you how to be able to do that, whether it's to go and testify, whether it's to write a letter or letter to the editor. Those are all sorts of things. Pick up the phone and call your representative because they don't get phone calls, and they're really your neighbors. They're not these big, godly, people that you can't approach. They're your next door neighbors. And if they get one call, it's more than they usually get. If they get two, they start to listen. If they get 3 or 4, they're going to study what that bill is, and you really will have an impact on them. So Annette would be the one to contact if anybody in here is at that place in their journey where they're ready to begin advocating. 2 minutes, okay. It's your move, an 8-hour training to prepare individuals to advocate, which I was just talking about, and anybody that becomes part of that gets these alerts and the suggested ways that you can respond to them, whether it's email, phone calls, or whatever. Professional development, we do training, we go into schools, police departments. Right now we're doing a lot of things with judges. These are the trainings that are not free. We charge for these. There's an hour, half day, full day. You'd have to call the office. You'd talk to Claudia about that. They're provided by family members and or our staff. And like I said, this is a fee-for-service program. We have, real quick here, 2 speakers bureaus. One's called Life Interrupted, where people that have family members that have mental illness are trained and they go into the community and they talk about what it was like to have a family member, what it did to their life in our own voice. It's actually a consumer, a person that has mental illness that's been trained, that is not symptomatic, goes out and talks about what it was like perhaps to have bipolar and how it was to navigate the system. We have Mental Illness Awareness Week, which is the first week in October, and we do a wonderful walk, which these ladies they're great volunteers for. And Stigma Busters, we're out and doing that, whether we're doing a presentation, whether we're doing something on TV or on the radio. I think that is, one of the biggest obstacles right now that not just NAMI, but you as individuals have with getting the services. It keeps people sometimes from moving forward and getting the services that they need. Suicide prevention program is called Connect. The National Best Practice Program, Ken Norton heads that up. He is out in the community. He's gone to the Pentagon. He is just trained all over the place. It is a program that is national, and he's been out doing that training nationally. It's one of the programs that New Hampshire has developed. So, To learn more about NAMI, go to our website, naminh.org. My name is Susan Allen Samuel. That's my email address. It's all on my card. Annette Carbonneau is the one that does the family-to-family and the policy training. Claudia Ferber, she's the Director of Child and Family Programs. And again, Ken Norton directs the Connect program. Any questions? Yes.
I've got two. I'll let you
Oh, no.
answer after I ask. How broad or narrow is your scope of mental illness, emotional disorders in whom you address? And
It's unlimited.
Okay.
I'm sorry. How broad?
or narrow is the scope
Or narrow
of
is the
who it
scope.
is that you assist?
We assist anybody. I mean, some people don't define ADHD as a mental health issue. We have a lot of folks that call about their child or their loved one that has ADHD. It's huge. We don't say, well, that's not really a mental illness, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
And
What's that?
Diagnosed or not.
Correct. She made a good point. Diagnosed or not. Because lots of times as parents, we suspect that's bipolar and it's not been diagnosed yet. Certainly call the office because we're going to help you learn about it and we're going to tell you, places that you can go to have an assessment. We're not going to give you a specific provider. That's not what we do. We're going to say, have you connected with your community mental health center? Have you thought of this? Have you done that? Does that answer that
it
question?
does. And a quick second question is your parents meeting the challenge. What do you cover in those 8 sessions? What types of
It's all
skills?
different things. It could be on brain development, navigating the system, how to make a crisis management plan. Help me here, ladies. How to do a mock support group so you can decide, whether you want to become part of a support group or train to be a leader of a support group.
Teaches you about special education.
About the special education system, what an IEP is and how to advocate for that. And if you're interested in getting our guidebook, because it does cover, it's this piece of paper here, put your name and a way to contact you, whether it's email or whether it's a phone number.
Thank you.
Can I say one thing? We actually call our group the Parents Meeting the Challenge for Raising Children with Social. We advertise our group as Parents Meeting the Challenge of Raising a Child with Social and Emotional Challenges because, the 3-year-old who's getting kicked out of daycare, who knows why they're having problems, but the parents need support and guidance.
Anything else? Anybody in this room has questions that, they have to think about or they're not willing or wanting to, bring forward here, in a public forum, certainly grab a business card. Don't hesitate to contact me. If I'm not the person that has the answers, and I don't have a lot of answers, I'll connect you with somebody that does. My business cards are here. Please take one of our brochures, pass it along to somebody. There's, I think, one poster left, but if you need any materials at all, I'm the person to connect with. Okay? I thank you so much. This is what we need to do, get out and talk about it. Take the stigma away from it, get the word out there, and you folks are the ones that are going to spread the word. So if you have a doctor's office, you think that they could benefit by having some of our posters or brochures, see me, see Pam, see Amy. Thank you. I need to.
Thank you very much, Susan. It's a lot of information. I learned a lot from that. Thank you. I didn't mention earlier that at the end of the presentation, about 6:30, we're offering pizza downstairs, and if any of you want to stay around, maybe you can also ask questions at that time too. I didn't really put anybody in any particular order, so whoever stands up first gets to go next. It's going to be Steve P.A.S.E. from the Greater Nashua Mental Health Center.
Okay, they call these alligator clips, and I didn't want to get bit, so struggling a little bit with it. I'm Steve P.A.S.E. I am the director of the Child and Adolescent Service at what's now officially called the Greater Nashua Mental Health Center. I think most people, including those of us who work there, still call it Community Council. However you want to know us by is fine. Last month we had a presentation like this in April, and I said at the beginning of my part that I was going to talk about the different programs that we have, but I'd probably forget some. I was reminded of two that I did forget, so I'm going to start with those to make sure I don't, and so I'll probably forget something else. because we do have a lot of programs, and I don't have a presentation, a PowerPoint, and I would have brought brochures, except I still have to edit the first draft, and I haven't done that. The two programs I want to talk about first are in the context of what we largely refer to as our clinic-based programs. And these both are, I think, cutting edge. We have yoga group therapy. We have two groups of yoga group therapy. One is for, kids approaching adolescence, and then another group for teenagers. And yoga group therapy, there's research that has really demonstrated that it can be very helpful for kids who've been traumatized in some way. Helps them, find a sense of peace, deal with their trauma, kind of resolve it, and be able to kind of move on with their lives. The other group we have that I didn't mention last time is art therapy. And that's for the one that we're running now, or we may have just finished it, but we're going to keep doing it, was for kids, again, approaching adolescence, that age range, maybe a little bit younger than that. And that's good for, I think kids with any kind of issues who want to express themselves in a nonverbal way, in a creative way. They don't have to be good artists, that's not the point. The point is to express what they're feeling.
For younger children too.
It's for younger children too. Thank you. I have my own teleprompter. Thanks. Yeah, it's for younger children more than that. We've had different ages of groups. We are very fortunate that we do have someone who got her degree in art therapy from Lesley University who's on our staff. She was an intern, now she's on our staff. In September, we're going to have a second person who's doing her internship in art therapy. So we're just going to be, creating art wherever we go. And I think that's very exciting because kids need to be able to express themselves. The programs that have been around for a while, and some are also kind of new, that we have. I mentioned the clinic-based program, which is exactly what it sounds like. We have a clinic. Parents bring their kids in, or if they're old enough, the kids, parents or guardians. And if I slip and just say parent, I mean somebody who's serving as the parent, even if they're not the biological or even adoptive parent or foster. There's somebody who's serving in that role as parent. Typically will bring their child in, or children, and they will meet with their therapist, and hopefully, and this is something I want to improve in the services we provide, and also meeting more with the parents. I think that's such a vital part of working with children. Kids can get better, and then the parents, usually because they don't know, not because they're mean-spirited or anything, don't know how always to respond to the changes the kids are showing. And so that requires, I think some kind of work too, talking with a counselor about, okay, my kid is doing something, I always wanted him to do this, or he's not doing something and I wanted him to stop doing. I don't know how to respond to that, it's new. Okay, that's something to talk about, and that's something I think that is very helpful for the whole family, for parents to be able to come in and do that. Some of our families either cannot get into the clinic or require services that are best provided in the home. And usually that's a family kind of approach. So we have an outreach program where we have therapists who actually provide in-home services. And they will go to your home if that's the best way or the only way to provide the service, and kind of meet with you then. And that really is a kind of more intensive approach, working with the family. Whether it's the whole family or it's part of the family, that depends on a lot of factors. It depends on who's home that day. It also depends on, what's been contracted, who should attend these sessions. So that's something else that I think is a very important service we provide that many other places don't. You have to come into the clinic. We offer that as a service where it's appropriate. Along with that is we have case managers, and while there's a whole big sort of definition of what that means, we still call them case managers. And what they do is provide services in the community. So they might go to your home and pick up your child, or they might meet your child at school and then they go out someplace. And this is, I think, where I see the biggest need for this, and this is just my opinion because there are other kinds of needs. Kids who, for some reason, are just not getting integrated into the life of the community as kids. They come home from school and they stay at home till the next morning and they go back to school. They don't have an activity or activities after school. They don't have friends, So we'll take them to the Y, literally, and we'll help pay for that. We'll take them to the Boys and Girls Club. And when I first heard about, this idea of taking a kid to the Boys and Girls Club or to the Y, I kind of put myself in the position of a child having some grown-up with me, sort of nudging me, pushing me, go over there. And I thought, I don't want that. I don't want to, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I'm not, I'm not. However, what I have learned is the kids who have case managers who take them to these various programs, they love it. The case manager is a very important part of their lives. And they're very helpful, and the children, or teenagers even, respond very positively to that. They like the fact that there is a helpful adult, a friendly adult, who's not a friend, but is friendly, who helps them, kind of, if they're feeling, reluctant to get involved, and they get a nudge from the case, or the case manager just helps kind of facilitate their interacting, whatever they do. I think that's extremely valuable. And like I said, the kids really like when they have that. One of the questions that was asked to Susan is, kind of what's the range of problems, of mental illness? Well, we also have an extremely wide range. We see kids who are schizophrenic, who have a psychotic disorder, have a bipolar disorder. We see kids with attention deficit disorder, with mild to severe depression, anxiety, whatever the issues. I mean, the old term that I, sort of, earlier in my career, the term that was used more was emotionally disturbed, with the idea being that there's something going on with their emotions, with their feelings that they're struggling with, that they have. And that could be because of some kind of biological mental illness, or it could be like a young man I worked with, a 17-year-old who sought therapy because he had a broken heart. 17 years old, first serious relationship, and she dumped him. And boy, did that hurt. And he needed to talk to somebody. That's fine. Would I say that kid had a mental illness? No. He was emotionally disturbed in a pretty mild way as things go, but enough that he sought help. And I thought, that was kind of very, very mature, very wise, very brave of him to do. And we work with kids like that. Up and down the economic strata, doesn't matter, we take, Medicaid, we take private insurance, so that's not a piece. If you have a child who you think, could use some help talking about what they're struggling with, then you definitely contact us. Some of the other programs that we have, we do have a medical staff, and we are supposed to be getting, and we are getting. I mean, he said he's coming, and he's getting his New Hampshire license, a new child psychiatrist who's going to be there full time. We have been very backed up because we have not had adequate psychiatric care in the children's side. Hopefully that will ease some of it when he arrives. He finishes his training program in July. He's coming from Michigan, so it's a matter of him being able to move himself and his family here. Hopefully he'll have his license right away, but that's another issue. But we are getting that. And our medical staff tend to be pretty conservative, most of them, in terms of prescribe, well, all of them, in terms of how they prescribe. If they think that a particular problem either really doesn't need medication, they won't prescribe it. If they want to see, well, we're not sure, let's give therapy a little more time, they won't prescribe. May set up another appointment down the road, because, and I guess I have to say, I'm very proud that fewer than half of our kids at community council are on medication. I think it's really good to avoid it if possible. If it's not possible, if it's necessary, then it's very good, for kids to get medication. We have at this point, 2 transitional age programs, and by that I mean adolescence to young adulthood. We have one that's been around for a long time called YAP, the Young Adult Program, and that's for kids, typically, the way I like to think, they're kids who are having difficulty kind of navigating their way through adolescence, who, when they become adults, will probably have difficulty becoming and being adults because they have trouble with peer relationships, they have trouble just knowing what to do as a person out in society, as a teenager and then as an adult. They may have some behavior problems. We have a significant number of kids in that program who have Asperger's. We have some kids with psychotic disorders in that. And so the work is done primarily in a group context. There's some group therapy, but it's mostly, again, going out into the community or dealing with real problems as they occur. For example, the kids in YAP prepare meals. So what's the first thing to do if you want to prepare a meal? Make a list. Find the recipes, see what you need to get. Then you go to the grocery store and you buy it. So they go through this kind of step, and they're learning how to function in the world. Some already know better than others how to do that. Some are pretty, have a lot of learning that they have to do in this program. In the context of them doing it with peers, I think it's more helpful that way, because it's not something that they're being sort of lectured about or taught about, or they're doing it as part of a group, and this is what we do. This is the kind of thing that we as teenagers do and can learn to do and can do more of. And I think that's pretty exciting. We're starting, last summer we had what we call Young YAP. I mean, it's the Young Adult Program, so it's the young adult program. YAP is 15 through 21. We're trying to come up with a new name for Younger YAP, and that's 11 to 14. It's just a summer program, but if you're interested in that, it's sort of based similarly. It will be in July, Tuesdays and Thursdays in July, so there'll be 8 sessions for that. It's unfortunate, but we have, as parents, kids who sometimes get in trouble with the law or who are on the verge of getting in trouble with the law. And so we have a court diversion program, which has been around for, a year and a half or so, and we keep improving it and kind of refining what we do. This program is for kids who either a parent comes in or a teacher wants to file a chins, but there are 3 categories. This is the first category. Or they get picked up by the police, and they've done something that warrants a delinquency petition, but they're given a second chance. And the second chance is, the petition may be written up, but it gets filed. It does not get turned into court. And they are given the opportunity to come into our program, which is called Community Connections for Youth. And we have one of our case managers coordinates that, and she'll do an interview and decide if our program is appropriate, and I'd say 95% of the time the answer is yes. And they come into the court diversion program. At this point, the way we're doing it is usually, for most of the kids, the first step is an anger management group. Most of the kids who get involved with the law, I think, and it's sort of empirically being proven by the kids who we're seeing, they have issues with anger. And they act out against their parents, they act out against society, whatever it might be. Or they just have difficulty controlling it, and they do something that even they would say is stupid. I shouldn't have done that. I just didn't know what I was doing. Well, they knew what they were doing, but they couldn't control it necessarily. They didn't have the internal ability to control that. So that's why one of the reasons why we're starting with the anger management group. Then while they're in that, then the group therapist will kind of determine, talking with the kid in the group, is individual therapy appropriate? Should we move into that either now while the group's happening or after the group is over? So there are other alternatives there, and as well as the whole array of our other services. Medication, could they benefit from having a case manager, and the like. So that's a key part of the program. The second category is kids who've gone into court and they've been arraigned, essentially, and their cases, they call it continued, it's continued for disposition. And they come to the program in a similar kind of way, and if they do well, in other words, if they really basically comply with the orders, which is go to therapy, don't do drugs, don't drink, if that's an issue, and you'll like this part, do what your parents tell you. That's in the court order. Now, but the other thing, parents are ordered. There's a court order. Parents sign a contract too. We will do this. And there are times when the judges will say, to the child, you're doing great. It's your parents I'm concerned about. And then they'll speak as necessary to the parents and conceivably hold them in contempt if they don't follow through with what they've agreed to do. I hope that applies to nobody here, but it's part of that. And again, it gets back to the idea that for better or worse, parent involvement in when a kid is getting help for something is so vital. Most of the time it's, yeah, come on in, we'll have a parent session and counseling. Sometimes it does require the judge, now you have to do that, which is, nobody likes that, but sometimes that's what needs to be. It's tough love on the judge's part. And one of the things that we are moving forward with, and I'm thrilled by this, is the superintendent of schools in Nashua is a very big believer of providing mental health services in the schools. So we've been doing that for a while. We have a program several therapists go into the 5 Title I schools and provide therapy on site. They're given offices, they do it as privately, as can be done in a school system, although the kids say, hi, there's my counselor, got to go now. So the kids don't worry. We have to abide by confidentiality. The kids are proud of it, and we're also at the Phoenix program, which unfortunately is closing at the end of this year. So we won't be there anymore. But what we've been doing is meeting with folks from the school district. Betsy Abrams, who's the director of the Youth Council, and I have been developing something we're calling the Nashua Counseling Cooperative. I think that's the title. And we're going to be together. These are two, competing agencies. But we're going to be together. We're going to be providing services. We're going to keep Community Council. We'll just do we'll continue with the elementary schools without the Youth Council. But in the middle schools and the high schools, we will be working together. We will have staff from both programs at the school. We still have to come up with the brochure that will kind of talk about what are the services we provide, what are the services they provide. Parents will have kind of a choice. There's a big overlap in what we both do.
Are you providing services now in high school?
Not in the high school, but I'm not sure Youth Council is. There's the SAP program, Student Assistance Program, that's being phased out, unfortunately, but I think they have been doing that.
Where's your location?
I'm sorry?
The organization, where's it located?
The children's program is at 15 Prospect Street.
50 Prospect Street,
Yep.
Nashua. And
Nashua.
can I get a phone number too?
I'm going to give you my card,
Right.
even better. So I have to wrap it up. So I probably forgot some things. I won't talk about our visitation center or the Child Impact Program because that doesn't directly apply here. But I will take questions now. Yes?
When you're working with a patient, does your psychiatrist and the therapist, do they interact and speak about that patient? Or do they work in isolation?
Okay. The question is, when we see a patient, does the therapist and the psychiatrist work together? Absolutely. It's not done in isolation. Now keep in mind, a lot of the kids don't have a med provider. But when they do, there's very close collaboration. Well, related to that is one of the questions we usually, in fact, like 98% of the time, will not see a kid for medication only. If they come in, they have to be evaluated by a therapist, and then, unless it's clear that medication is needed right away, then the therapist waits a little bit, spends some time working with the kid before making the referral. Occasionally, there are reasons we've made exceptions to that. That has to go through me, and I have to decide if it's a reasonable situation. And sometimes kids, when they've finished their therapy, they don't need therapy anymore, but they still need medication, and their primary care doc doesn't want to prescribe, can't prescribe, whatever, then we'll continue seeing them for medication only. But yes?
If somebody calls to make an appointment.
Yes.
Somebody that's not particularly in crisis. How long from that phone call typically is that first appointment for an assessment?
It depends on the time of year, and this is the time of year when it's a long time because parents are saying, oh no, my kid's coming home from the summer, I need help. Teachers are saying, we've got some kids here who could use some help over the summer. The other time it's a long time is October, when school's been in session for about a month. So then it's a longer time. And it could be 2 months if it's not a crisis situation. We do have an urgent list where we try to get kids in like right away, within a week, if we can do that. I want to say, to me, 2 months is way too long any time of the year. The thing is, there are not enough providers, there's not enough funding, and that's something that NAMI is trying, to work on, at least, at the very least, preventing the drastic budget cuts. And other agencies, public and private, also are in the same position of having long waiting lists. Yes?
How does yoga help children?
I'm sorry?
How does yoga help children? Talk about
How does yoga help? I don't really know because I'm not the therapist who does that. I'm sorry? Oh, what age? I'm sorry, I misunderstood. The age is just before adolescence is a group, or early adolescence, and then it's one group, so 10, 11, 12, I believe, and then a group 13, 14, and up. That may not be the exact, but that's sort of where we kind of make the division. Yes?
I'd like to find out a little bit more about the art therapy
Yes.
you mentioned. I think you said something about it providing services for children who have undergone a lot of trauma, but do you offer it for other children?
Yes. The yoga therapy is the one that I said there's been research on that, it's helpful, but a child does not have to have gone through a trauma to come into our yoga therapy group.
Oh, I meant art therapy.
The art therapy, that's for any kid who, where it's most helpful? Kids who do want to express themselves but have trouble putting it into words, so they can draw or make something out of clay to express what they're feeling that way.
Also, do you have anything like music therapy?
No, that we don't have. I hope we get a call from
I'm just
someone.
curious,
Yeah.
because I've read readings and things on how it really helps
Oh, yeah.
autistic children.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do they have anything locally?
I don't know. I really don't know that. But that is another thing that I'd like us to get into. Yes? Oh, okay.
Yes, and it's an excellent program.
Great, thank you. It's good to know. Okay, well, thank you very much. Oh, wait, one more question.
That's what I was writing. I didn't get my hand up. What do I know what she's saying? Because I teach in Manchester,
Uh-huh.
and I'm at the high school, And I certainly have some kids that could benefit from this type of program. Is there any affiliation with, do we have anything in Manchester? Like
There's the Mental Health Center of Greater Manchester.
they have these kind of.
They have their programs. I don't know. We have the YAP program is technically called a Rehabilitation Partial Hospitalization. We have the only kids one of those in the state. There are adult programs like that. So Manchester won't have that. And I don't know if they have art therapy or those yoga. I doubt it.
What I was particularly interested in was when they get sent to court.
Yes.
We've had kids get sent to court, but then I've never heard of any of them having to go to counseling for anger management or.
The thing to find out is if the juvenile court in Manchester has any kind of court diversion program. You can also find that out by calling the children's department at the mental health center there. But I don't know. I know we have an adult court diversion program that's expanded. We got a grant to basically take that statewide. So that will include Manchester. But that's adults. Yes?
Does your agency service children, particularly with severe cognitive disabilities?
If they also have something we can diagnose on the mental illness side of thing, we do, and then we'll work with gateways usually, where they have both. If they only have that and there's not a mental illness or an emotional disturbance as such that's diagnosable, then we don't. One more.
The art therapy program,
Yes.
Is that there at the center?
Yes, it's on site. Okay.
Just with teenagers?
The art therapy?
Do you work with just teenagers?
I personally only work with teenagers, yes. But we see children as young as 3. We'd see them younger if we had an infant specialist, but we don't. We used to, but we don't anymore. But so it's generally 3 to 18, but we can keep them till 21 for some of the programs, or if that seems clinically appropriate.
Really quick, do you just have any pamphlets or anything?
I don't have
for the
pamphlets
art
with me.
therapy program?
No. Let me give you my card. Well, I'll leave. You know what? I will leave my cards on the table right here. If you run out, I think I have more. Yeah, I do have a lot more. So pick one up, give me a call, and I'll get what you need on that, and any other thing too.
Thank you, Steve. Again, a lot of information. I'm going to introduce next Michelle Abbott from Gateways.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Michelle Abbott, and I'm here today from the Gateways Autism Center. And just to give you a quick overview of myself, I'm a parent of 2 children on the spectrum. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, both girls. Both girls are at 2 separate ends of the spectrum in every aspect. One, I can barely get to talk, and the other one I can't get to stop. So I've obviously found a passion within the center, within autism. You know, my husband frequently says that he always sees me in a book. Right now here at Gateways, we're really trying to ramp up the center at this time. We're trying to help a lot more families, educate families, and let families know that we're here. I'm finding a lot of families, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, don't know we're here and that we exist. So we're really trying to reach out at this point. Right now, here's our vision statement, and basically we're really trying to support those families with a diagnosis of autism. Gateway serves many other families. I'm really here today to represent the Autism Center, but we definitely help families with any child with any sort of disability. Currently, this is our autism staff. I'm Michelle, I'm the center coordinator, and right now I'm providing a lot of support for families, getting to know the families. I'm a moderator for the social network, which I'll talk about a little bit later. and trying to, do some education. One of the big goals we have this year is for me to start doing outreach to pediatrician's office, to really get them on board with us. The earlier the screening, we all know, the better. And so that's probably going to be one of our hugest goals this year, as well as contacting schools, letting schools know about us, really trying to get everybody to work together. We also have Pat Worsley. She is our autism service coordinator. She's also a mental health coordinator at Gateways as well. She has a tremendous background. She's fantastic. As I speak with families, if I'm finding that they maybe need a little bit extra help, or their issues are a little bit more intense, I typically will have Pat step in and try and work with the families a little bit more. Enzio Bonello, she's the Director of Family Services. Wonderful woman. She's really works with family support, and she oversees the Autism Center now. And then we have Peter Van Voris, who's the Vice President. We have Administrator. I really call him the Vision Man, just because he gets something in his mind for families and it's okay, let's run with it. So he has a lot of great ideas. We have a lot of new programs we want to start to really try and enhance the center here at Gateways. We also have Nancy Dowie, who was formerly a director within ESS, Early Supports and Services, servicing 0 to 3. And she is now just stepped down. She's an occupational therapist. She works with our parent-to-child program, which is 0 to 3. That's working with families doing applied behavioral analysis for families that have children on the autism spectrum. Right now, these are our current services. We, as I mentioned, are providing case management. We're working on doing a lot of outreach. Again, the Nashua Autism Network is a 24/7 network. We are calling it we call it NAN. And what that is very much like Facebook, but it's for the population of families with autism. So a lot of people are going in. We have a forum set up, just answering questions, discussions, but we also have feeds on each side, which is constantly giving you the most up-to-date information, not only locally but nationally. And we also have areas for events that we're trying to constantly put in events so families know what's going on in our community, so everyone can try and make some of these events if it's helpful to them. We right now are providing monthly trainings. We did have a support group running. What I was finding is that a lot of the individual towns in our region at this point are starting to provide their own support groups. So I decided to change things a little bit, and once a month now what I'm trying to do is hold some type of training event. So families, it's hard for families to get out. So if they can get out, get a training, stay afterwards, do a little bit of networking with families. For the last 3 months, it has been a tremendous success. Everyone's really, really enjoying it. And at this time, I have been offering it open to the public, whether or not that you are with Gateways. Another wonderful feature that I'm very proud of, that I'm really working strong on right now, is our lending library. And what that is we have a slew of books in there at this time that anyone can come in, borrow books. We've just gotten in the most up-to-date books. I've kind of cleaned out a lot of the old stuff and brought in a lot of new stuff. One of the big things that I'm focusing on, especially as a parent, is I'm bringing equipment in. I want as much equipment as we possibly can get into the room. It's a small room, but I'm fitting quite a bit. I'm trying to get everything as to weighted vests, weighted blankets, pressure vests, silencing earphones, listening therapy earphones, you name it, board maker. A lot of families are using board maker. We have a computer in the center they can use. I can help them out, or they can borrow it, take it home, and do their own board maker at home. I'm also working on a family also mentioned social stories, getting a software for social stories to make things easier, which I did do today. So I'm getting a lot of feedback. If any of you want to email me with some suggestions, I got some suggestions about trampolines, water tables. We have those as well. And I'm really trying to get as many things as I can. As I said, as a parent, I've tried a lot of things that didn't work, and there is a pile in my basement. And I look at it and say, oh my God, look at how much money I spent. So trying to bring these devices in has really helped a lot of families. Even from a language perspective, Go Talks, other types of devices that we're bringing in as well at this time. These are our two recent outreach tools. As I mentioned, the Autism Network, which has been going pretty well at this point. It's still in its early stages. It's just starting to pick up. We have just a little over 200 members at this time. Close Connections is a new pilot project that we're working on. Right now it's under autism that we're looking at it, but the plan is within Gateways that it will be available to everyone. We're looking at it from every disability, trying to bring families together. Again, this is just telling you a little bit more in-depth information on the Nashua Autism Network. And I did want to just touch a little bit on this pilot of Close Connections because I find it's going to be very valuable for families. How many families know who in their neighborhood are in the same situation? Most of us don't. What we've done is based on the population we have of families with autism, and what we did was we piloted 3 specific towns. And we have a person on our staff that's really into the mapping. And what he did was it's fantastic. He took the map based on area, town, specific address, location, age, and what he did was within a radius clustered these people. So we could see where the clusters of people were. And at that time, we're trying to send out surveys to see what people would want to do, get together to find out who's in their neighborhood. Try and, whether it be get together for activities or play dates or, myself looking at the data, there were 6 kids in my neighborhood in the same age range. I had no idea. So this is going to be, I think, a really good program, and I'm getting a lot of good feedback just on the initial pilot that we've done. And of course, the rewards of working in the center have been tremendous. The kids are fabulous. They come in all the time while the parents are in the center. We have a TV, movie players, all sorts of toys for them to play with. So anyone who wants to come in, feel free to bring the children. They're more than welcomed. And if you have any further questions, I did bring a lot of information downstairs that you are more than happy, and I'll be downstairs as well if anyone has any specific questions or you're not part of Gateways, how to go through the process of intake or whatnot. And there's also some other additional information that I didn't touch upon of different programs that Gateways offers within our family support. We have a family support council that is fabulous and is just really, really working hard for the families at this time. So I would like to thank all of you, and I hope this gave you a little bit more information about Gateways. And again, I'll be downstairs if you'd like to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. That was great. Thank you. Last but certainly not least, we have Jen Kuna from P.A.S.E.
All right, are you ready for me? All right. How many of you have heard of the Parent Information Center before? Lots of hands. Lots of hands. Oh, yes, back there, my friend in the back corner, yes. When I say Parent Information Center, what do you think of? What are the words that come to mind? Help. Information, help. School advocacy. I'm not hearing the one word that I'm thinking. I'm sorry? Conferences, workshops. Resources, special ed. Most people, when they hear thank you, the Parent Information Center automatically think of special education. But we do a whole lot more than just special education. I am going to talk a lot about that. But I did also want for you to know the different areas that we're involved in and different things that, there we go, that we do. The mission of the Parent Information Center is to guide and encourage families to support the unique learning potential of their children. We're a nonprofit agency that houses a variety of different projects and programs that help to support parents to become more involved in their children's education. And all children, not just children with disabilities, across the spectrum, all kids. We really truly believe that parents make the difference. And I heard the gentleman earlier say that. And it's true across not just in education, but in all aspects of kids' lives. And we have a variety of projects and programs that help to support parents to become more involved in their children's education. And we have a variety of websites and resources and a lot of different things that are going on. As an agency, we've been around since 1975, which most people are shocked to hear that we've been around for over almost 35 years. I'm not really good at math, so if I'm wrong, just forgive me. But we've been around that long. And we do a variety of different things, and we're very involved actually in this community. I'm from Nashua. I grew up here. I graduated from school here, so many of you have probably seen me and heard me talk before. We assists lots of different stakeholders in creating strong family-school community partnerships. 99.9% of our services are free of charge, and they're available to families, community members, parents. They're also available to school districts, teachers, professionals, and also young adults, youth with disabilities. All of our services are grant funded, though we do have one fee-for-service program that we use to carry out our mission to help parents to become more involved in their children's education. I asked earlier when you hear PIC what you think of, and most of you had said or thought along the lines of advocacy and special education. PIC's origins are in advocacy around special education. Our first project was called the Parent Information Center on Special Education. This is one of, I work on every project I'm going to talk about today but one, and this is my primary project. And it's been in existence since 1977, was the first time we were funded to be the state, what we call Parent Training and Information Center. Every state in the country has a Parent Training and Information Center. It's funded by they're funded through the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education Programs, to help parents learn about their rights and responsibilities in the special education process. The information and support that we provide to parents and others involved in special education is designed so that they can participate more effectively as team members in the special education process and to help families to make more informed decisions about special education and for their children. We provide an awful lot of support. You've seen, probably many of you have attended our workshops across the state on a variety of different special education and related topics. We have handouts, articles. We have a website it's actually probably about a year old now, nhspecialed.org, where you can find a wealth of information about the special education process and links to resources or to help you navigate and better be able to advocate for your child. We also have a Parent Connection newsletter. We also have a disability awareness kit. I'll come out to school districts or different groups, parent groups. I just recently went to a Boy Scout troop and helped demonstrate using the disability awareness kit, helped kids to understand what it might be like for their peers who experience a disability. We also run the Volunteer Advocate for Special Education Training Program. It's an 11-week training program where parents, educators, and others come to learn more about the special education process and be able to support other families as they navigate through the process. It's important to know that the Parent Information Center on Special Education staff consists of 3 people, 3 full-time positions. Our staff do not attend IEP meetings with families, though we do have volunteer advocates who are able to, at times, to assist families in actual IEP meetings. The majority of our work is done over the phone or through more informal meetings. I wish that I could say that I could attend IEP meetings with families, but there are over 32,000 children in the state of New Hampshire who are coded for special education and have IEPs. And I know my math is right on this, that would mean I'd have to attend 10,000 IEP meetings a year. And I got to say, I'm pretty good with time management, but I'm pretty sure I'm not that good with it. But we do have volunteer advocates who you can call our center and talk with one of the educational specialists, which I am one of. We can talk to you and help you sort of navigate through it. And if we feel like you need another extra level of assistance, we typically can assign you a volunteer to meet with you, maybe in your local community, to help you get through that next step. Pick on Special Education does have one fee-for-service program, called the AFC program, or Advocates for Families of Children with Disabilities. In this program, you come to our office in Concord, and you meet with our educational specialist. Her name is Charlene. And the meetings typically take a couple of hours, and she helps you wade through the paperwork and sort of understand. I think teachers feel this way. In my previous life, I was a special ed teacher, but I think families feel the same way for a little bit different reason. There's a lot of paper that you get in special ed, and sometimes it's hard to understand what it all means. And Charlene will meet with you on a one-to-one basis and help you understand it and develop a written plan for how you're going to move forward in the process. We have a variety of other programs outside of Parent Information Center and Special Education. One of them is called Supporting Successful Early Childhood Transitions. This is another project that I work on. I work with early supports and services, early intervention staff, preschool special education programs, and others and families in the process to help develop systems to ensure that kids, as they're leaving early supports and services and transitioning into preschool special education, don't experience any gaps in services. I worked really intensely actually with the Nashua School District and the surrounding towns, Gateways, and all the towns that that Gateways feeds their children to. And actually this region developed the first interagency agreement for how the transition process was going to happen. And the agreement that was developed here in Nashua was actually used as a model across the state. So it's just a testament to the amount of work that folks in this region are doing. We also have a project called New Hampshire Connections, which is funded by the State Department of Education, the Bureau of Special Ed. Many of you may know Joe Hatch, who is our facilitator for New Hampshire Connections in this particular region. And this project is designed to help families and schools come together to increase parent involvement in special education. Joe is the facilitator, and he runs a regional support network, works very closely with Neil and P.A.S.E. To help involve families and help them to get involved in school improvement efforts around special education and other efforts to help families become more involved, not just in their own child's education, but in the bigger system as well. Oops, I got a little trigger happy on that one. Another project that we have is called the Parent Information and Resource Center. This is, it's kind of funny. Sometimes the federal government puts out grants and creates projects and they use the same words and just mix them up in different order, and you're supposed to know that they're all different things. We refer to it in our office as PERC, and the PERC project's funded through No Child Left Behind to work with school districts in an intense way to help them increase parent involvement and improve outcomes for children with whether or not they have disabilities. PERC is actually intertwined and very much involved with 8 schools here in Nashua. Amherst Street Elementary, Ledge Street, Dr. Crisp, Pleasant Fairgrounds Elementary, Fairgrounds Middle, and Nashua High School North. And the PERC project works with them, works with school districts to create what they call parent involvement teams. They work very closely with the administration. They go through a full assessment process, and it's research-based. And then together, school district administration, school administration, parents, and communities come together to create action plans for how the community and the schools and parents are going to work together to improve the schools. They're all schools in need of improvement under the No Child Left Behind law. And it's really a partnership to help school districts to work together better with families to improve outcomes and become no longer schools in need of improvement. Through this project, some of you may have heard the Kindergarten Readiness Program is run through the PERC project. It also has a high literacy component a program called Let's Read Together that works with early childhood and also with families to help increase literacy in early childhood and help parents to learn the skills to help their children learn to read at a much younger age. We also hold, the PERC project also holds the Partnership for Education Conference. It's a yearly conference. It's actually this Saturday, if anyone's still interested and hasn't signed up about it. It's a statewide conference for families and educators to come together, and there's a variety of great topics that we talk about. My personal favorite that's coming up this year is that there's a panel coming to talk about high school transition, and also actually a group of educators here from Nashua are coming to present on their parent partnership and some of the great things that they've been doing through their parent involvement work groups. PIC also is the fiscal agent for 3 statewide programs. One is called the MICE Multisensory Intervention through Consultation and Education. This is a program that provides, vision and hearing services for infants and toddlers who experience vision and hearing disabilities. We're also the fiscal agent for New Hampshire Family Voices. If you ever have a question about health insurance, whether it's private health insurance, public health insurance, Katie Beckett, Medicare, any of those things, New Hampshire Family Voices is the place to call. They can help you to navigate through the healthcare world. I can help you navigate through special ed, but Terry and Martha Jean over at Family Voices can help you navigate through healthcare. We're also the fiscal agent for a new program called Prevention Makes Sense. They're actually a school-based child abuse prevention program. They run parenting classes. One is a 12-week course called Parenting Journey that meets the court-ordered parenting class requirement when families may have had issues and are ordered to take take parenting classes. That's a new program that we just took on and are partnering with in the last 6 months. So I don't know a whole lot about it, but I did bring a lot of information about it so that anyone who works for a school district who's interested or another agency, please feel free to take any of that. So there are lots of different things that PIC does. And I rushed through this because I heard that there was pizza at 6:30, and I really know that you probably don't want to hear a whole lot about what I have to say, and you might be getting hungry at this point. But I, like everyone else, I'm going to be hanging around for a little while, so please feel free. I brought brochures about all the different programs and projects at PIC, but if you have any questions, please feel free to seek me out, and I'm more than willing to answer any that you might have.
Well, that was a lot of information and a lot of good information. It makes me, no quiz. It makes me proud to be living in Nashua and just realize how much is available to us. And I'm glad that we can bring you this workshop, and hopefully it, gave you some information you could use. Again, pizza will be served, and it probably is being served right now.